So let us watch bubble sort. Are you ready there? Okay, we're going to today we're gonna again in your own words, tell me what is swap. What is swap? And how many variables do you need for a swap? You need to have three. You need to have three because we need to have the voucher and the default. Okay, so today we're going to learn about bubble sort. This is the IG idea. So for just to give you a little thing is on the test you only need to know bubble sort. This is called grade 10. In grade next year, grade 11, we will learn insertion sort. But if you want to get bonus mark, you can 自己学习 this, but it's not. And then there's also selection sort. These are kind of like bonus things, but they're not on the culture. Okay, we only need to study one because we're in grade 10. Okay, but if you want, you're like, oh, I'm interested. Maybe I want to get some bonus 加分. I want to get some bonus mark on a test. You can 自己写一个 code, and I can give you the extra marks on a test or what have you. So bubble sort. What does bubble mean? Do you know what bubble mean? When you go into the shui in the water, it go boop, 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 boop. You know those chicho? This is called bubble. And the bubble kind of go up to the top of the water. So let's watch a quick video about what a bubble sort is, and then we're gonna code it. Okay? So let me just hit play, and then we'll have a watch.
The core idea is to compare each pair of neighboring elements from the matrix of the array.
See, we swap, 对不对? So it's a 一样的想法. We compare if one number, we need a 如果 and swap. And we just 继续做. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. It just goes through the list and then swap. And you can go from small to big or big to small. Both are bubble sorts. And then that's it. It's big to small, small to big. Okay. I have another video. This is a 2PN, a visual representation of the height, the same as data. Okay, bubble sort. Let's have it's a other video, and it's sorting the data. You see some data is not in the right order, and it's going to compare, and it'll get this is for bubble. You see he's pushing. This is called the 那个气球 because he's become more and more to the top. You just compare and then fang, 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 fang. So this is a visual representation of a bubble sort. If you thought that the height of the data is bigger, okay? But it's the same idea, okay? So let's write the definition. So in your workbook, let's write the definition and also draw a picture what he is, okay? So I want you to write down bubble sort. So define, we need to write down a definition. So bubble sort, what is bubble sort? In your own words, what is bubble sort? We watched the video. Can you describe in your own words what is bubble sort? Do you know what sort means? Sort means 少到 big， 大点少还是少点大？ It means to order. Order 是举个例子，你排队高到少。How to say order in Chinese? Yeah. So in your own words, what does he do? Yeah. Is it more clearly? 对，你的是写 small. It orders, it puts the data small to big. 行了 It orders the data small to big, 对不对? And then a good way to remember what a bubble sort is we should draw a picture, 对不对? So what is a good picture that you can help you remember? So there are two videos, Nishan Juan. There you can either draw like this, or you can draw like this, small to big. What is a good picture to help you bubble sort? What one do you want to do? So I want you to draw. 你可以随便画一个, okay? Draw the idea, okay? For example, for me to remember this idea, what I'm going to do, I will, for example, I have some numbers in a list, and this is 2, this is 1 and 4, and what I need to do is swap these. I need to bloop, 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 until it's in order. So you could draw a picture like this, or you could draw a bar diagram. For example, this is really tall, and like this, and this guy needs to move over here. This moves over here. Okay? 都行. Any kind of image there. So make sure you have that in your vocabulary book. That's going to help you to visualize this algorithm. Okay. Do you have it drawn? So how to do that? Let's go into Python, and we're going to actually code it. Okay. So you already have, from last class we did the swap. We have to add a swap with also max. You know how we find the max? And you have swap, right? 4.5 was swap. Okay, I want you to make a new file. Okay, call it 4.5b bubble sort. Okay, the bubble sort, make sure it's py, and let's put the date. It's March 25th. Hear me okay? March 25th. And my name, put your name. The topic is bubble sort. Okay. In your own words, I want you to, what is a bubble sort again there? What is the definition of a bubble sort? Small to big. Okay. By swapping. Basically, it's a swap. Let's do a quick review. What is a swap? It means A to B, vice versa, right? So if I had to swap something, let's just, I'm just going to write the code for swap. If I have A is equal to 4, B is equal to 5, how do I swap it there? What is the very first step? If I want to swap A and B? Yeah. Yeah, first you save the variable, then what do I do? Then A is equal to B, yeah. And then B is equal to 10. So we have to use this swap idea, and we also have to use the idea of the max. If I want to find max, you can say if A is greater than B, then we can swap, right? We need to say 如果 A is bigger than B, then swap, right? Because sometimes we need to swap. Because right here, do I need to swap 2 and 1? Yes or no? Is A bigger than B? Do I need to swap? Yes. So that means that 1 come here, 2 here. And then I have 4. Do I need to swap 2 and 4? No. And so we need to have a 如果 and a swap. And we already understand the 如果 and we understand the swap. Okay, so 我们开始. Okay, make a bubble sort to sort this data. Okay, I want you to put some data, and we're going to put 3, 5, 0, and 1. My question, is this sorted? Is the data in order? Is this data small to big? No. So this is called unsorted. Unsorted means not in order. And so how are we going to do this? First, yeah, what we're going to do is look at the two guys and say, 如果 3 is bigger than 5, I'm going to switch. 对不对? And then he should switch. Oh, let's actually do that. Can you change the data to 5 and 3? Let's do that. Okay. Now, one thing that we should know is this data is called a list or it's called an array. Okay. So I'm just gonna, you can just look at the computer for a second here. Now, in here, I have some numbers. The very first item is 0, and this is 1, this is 2, and 3. What are these numbers called right here? This is it's the called the index. Index is the location, right? And so if I want to print this, what I would do is I would have to write data 中括号 0, and then in here, this is the index number or the location of the list. Does that make sense? So if I put data 0, that is going to print out 5, because this is the location. 这个是它的地址. How would I print the number 3? What would be the index number? It would be 1. And so that's what I want you to do is I want you to print the first and second number in our list. Okay? So right here, I want you to put print, and then you're going to put data, and then inside here, you need to put the index number. Okay? What number? I want you to print this guy. It should be this data here, 5. What index number is that? Okay? And the second part is I want you to print the second item. This is the first item in the list and the second. Okay? Okay. Did you try? And then I want you to hit run. And then show me. And then we'll continue. Okay? So you just need to type this back. All right, you stop. And make sure the English thing. Okay? You just need to put the data part. Can you see that okay? Or is it too? Do you want me to turn off the light in front? I'll change the TV a little bit closer to where it turned. And then hit run and show me that you get 5 and 3. Okay, we just have to verify that we get those two datas. Actually, I'm going to actually put this is 6. Can you change the third item is 6 instead of 0? I know. 的前面的东西不需要。We just need the green thing is just called comment. It's this for the notes. Net. You need to start with the data. Yeah. Because the computer won't read anything with the has to. So just put data. Five, 3, 1, and then print. So the next line. Print. Football. Data. Okay, and then that's good. And then print. And then and I want you to pull hold on. And what number do I need to put? What number do I need to put in there to print number 5? The first item in the list is what? What is the index? Okay, put 1. Okay. And how about the second one? I want to print 3. What is the index number for 3? Okay, try to put 3. And then I want you to run. Now, it's not 3. If you remember the location, the very first item is 0. Okay. But this should be 0. And if I want to print the second item, I will put 3. Let's see here, unexpected index. Right here. Let's say we have a pointer. See this pointer right here. Okay, hit run. And we get 5. Agree, disagree. Okay. So what is the index number? What does it start at? There, Yuna. What's how to print the first item in the list? You need to put the index as 0, correct? So 0, and then if I want to print this one, what is the index for the second item? I want to print 3. What is the index number that I put here? Yes. And then I can verify that this works here because I get 5 and 3. Agree or disagree? So now, do I need to switch the locations? Do I need to put here and here? Yeah, because 3 is smaller than 5. And so what we need to do is we need to do a test. If, let's do this data. If what? Data is 0. That means if the very first item is bigger than this data, what do I need to do? What do I need to do with these two datas? How do I swap? If you remember the swap algorithm, first you need to have a third variable that we need to save as the first item. This is going to be first and second. So tell me, what do I need to print? So what do I need to do here? How do I swap? Temp is equal to what? It's going to be equal to the first thing. So what you're going to do is just copy. Instead of A and B, because A and B are going to change. Because in the list, A and B are these two guys, right? And then later it's going to be these. So that's why we have to use the data and the index number. These numbers will change, but the data list doesn't change, okay? So this is Baotrin, the very first. That's going to Baotrin Wu. Agree or disagree? Because data 0 is the first item, it's 5. Okay? Now, after you Baotrin, what do I need to do? We have the very first data is going to be equal to the second data. So it's going to be data 0 is going to be equal to what? Yeah, you are absolutely right. So that's going to swap it. And then 最后 and let's see if this is going to work. If I print my data, it should change. Agree? Because we test if 5 is bigger than 3, swap. Let's run the code and see if it swapped. Did it swap the 3 and 5? Yes or no? Yes. Let's see if this code works. Let's change 3 and 5. Will it swap the data? No, let's go 9. How about now? Is data 1 bigger than data 2? No. So it won't swap. And so when I hit run, let me just save this here. It didn't swap. Agree? Okay. I want you to type out the code now and swap the first guy here. So you need to have a swap. This will swap the data. Okay. So can you copy this? You need to have a 如果 if data 0 is bigger than data 1, that's the first one. If the first item is bigger than the second, swap. And we already know the swap algorithm. You have a temp variable. First, you have to save the variable, and then that. Okay, so you do that, and then the last thing we're going to do is make a loop to loop through the data. Cool. So we're almost there. Does that make sense so far? Yeah. So you need to have two things. Let me know when you finish typing, and then I want you to run each that to treating that it actually work. These two numbers should swap right here. Do 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 do. Any questions? Let me see. No questions online? You don't need to. The green is just to help understand, but the code will work with it, the green. That these are called comments so that you just understand what we're doing. Yeah. So I'll just copy that. Here's the thing. Let me know when you get that code done. So these are the index numbers 0, 1, 2, 3. And what we did is we just chose these two guys and we swapped them if one's bigger. So this is the swap data algorithm. Okay, let me know. Did it work when you hit run? Okay, fix the thing so it doesn't have a bug. Make sure it works. Chengoma? Did you get 3, 5, 6, 1? Okay, so it's working. Now, what do I need to do is we only did it with 2 datas. Agree or disagree? So what we need to do is actually now select the second guys here. Before we were using index numbers 0 and 1. Agree? So what we need to do is shift, and we need to use, instead of having 0 and 1, we can use the index 1 and 2. We can have a look at these two pieces of data, right? But that's a little bit of wasting time, because we have to shift and look at this. How many times do we look at the data? Let's count. We have 1, 2, 3. We can have a maximum of 3 swaps, right? Agree or disagree? Now, my question is, how big is my data? how big is the number of data? How many numbers do I have in my list? How many number? I have 5, 3, 6, 1. How big is my data? How many number? I have 4. So if I have 4 data, how many times do I need to check the swap? Look right here. If I have 4 data, I always 选2个东西. If I choose 2 things, I only need to swap maximum 3 times. Agree or disagree? And so to figure out the number of swaps, it's just the data number 负一. Does that make sense? So if I have 100 data, how many swaps would I need maximum? If I have 100 numbers, well, you'll eat by the number. How many times do I need to compare? 举个例子, if I have 10个 data, the 最大的 swap is 3个. 因为 every time you 选2个. 如果 I have 100呢? How many swaps would be required? It'd be 99个. 为什么? 因为你需要负一. 为什么我们需要负一? 对. So we need to use the 一个 loop because we need to loop through this, and this thing we can call I, but we must minus 1. So in continuation, our algorithm, we need to have a loop to do this. So let's do that. Let's go back to our code. We understand this, right? I don't need to print this. You can chat off. And what we're going to do is just make a loop to swap through the list. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then when you come back, we'll finish it up. Okay, any questions online? We're making a bubble sort. Let me have a look. What's happening? We're making a bubble sort. Any questions? You can throw them in the chat if you want. Here's the question: is if you were the steps for a bubble sort, what would you put? What are the first steps? I think step 1. I think the normal way is make a loop that is the length of your data minus 1. If I had to write down the algorithm for a bubble sort. Okay, here, bubble sort steps. Algorithm steps. So step 1, make a loop that loops through that. The second thing that I would do is have an if statement. Do check if swap is needed. And then you have a swap code. I have my swap code right here. And the third thing is make another loop to loop through the data again until all data is sorted. Okay, you're going to have a loop in a loop. So it's basically 3 steps. What would you add to a bubble sort algorithm in a simple way? Any questions? Do. It. Whereabouts is my video capture? Order, bring to top. It. Where's my camera? Okay, let me add a capture. Video capture. There I am. I'm on the screen now. Sometimes OBS doesn't work. There we go. All right, can you see me? Sometimes the camera is used for some other program and it doesn't appear. Now it's looking okay. Any questions about bubble sorts? We're on bubble sorts. Yeah, so if you just join, what we're doing is bubble sort algorithm. And if you had to write down the steps for a bubble sort, what would you say would be the first thing? So mine would be make an initial loop that just loops through the data, and the data is it's going to be the length of the array minus 1. You have to have an if statement to compare the data, and have a swap algorithm that it will swap, and then the last part would be putting all that into another loop that, because every time you pass through the code, it can only sort one largest number at a time, as shown in our kind of video where it sends the data one at a time using a swap algorithm. You can throw it in the chat. What would you make is the success criteria? What would you want? Simple terms. You can try to, if you're familiar with program, you can finish the bubble sort here. We have a couple of visitors. Anyone there? Maybe the streaming is delayed. Looks like it. I may have to change that settings for the delay. I don't know why it's delayed. here's a couple challenges for you. Um, explain what is a bubble sort in 3 words. What would you say? Create a bubble sort that's going to sort this data. Improve the efficiency of the sort algorithm, because as you sort, sometimes the data is already sorted and you can exit the algorithm early. So that would be the challenges that I would give you. Here's the base code. Right now we're just on the break time. Delayed. Okay, I'll be back. So far, so good? You already have this right here, right? Okay. So, I put the kind of stats that we can do to do this. This is working only for 2 datas. Agree or disagree? And so what we have to do is we have to make a loop, because we have to do compare this, and compare this. And the loop size is going to be 1 less than the data size. Okay? So we need to make a loop the length of the data. So at the very beginning, we say for I in range. Do you remember the this before? And we're going to do the length of the data. In this case, how many datas do I have? I have 4, but I need to fui. Why do I need to -1? Is because it's making groups of 2. This is going to be 1, 2, 3 times to do the swap. Agree or disagree? And so in here, you need to have the mahal, and then select your code, your if statement, and press tab. This is going to put this into the loop. And what we should see is this 5. Let me see here. We should get the data 1 pass through it. We should get the 6 at the very end. Okay, so let's have a run and see if this worked there. Oh, right. Now, instead of saying 0 and 1, these numbers are going to change. And so I just need to put I. I'm going to compare I. I is the very first item, because in the loop, it's going to go 0, 1, 2, right? And this is going to go I plus 1. So every time it says this is I, this is I 加一. So we look here. And then I is going to increment 1 and it's going to look at these two. So instead of the actual things, instead of 0, we're going to replace that with a bienliang called I, which is the index number. This is the index number plus 1, index number plus 1. Okay? So you need to add a for loop. 你写那个 for loop. And instead of putting ling and e, because ling and e is bian, because we're going to loop through all that data. And if you hit run, you see the 6 it put here. It swapped the 5 and it swapped the 6. Can you type that code there? No, you need to change. You need to add eagle loop. Make a loop right here. At the very beginning of your code, you need to make a loop so that he can go through the data. And then it needs to be the length of the data, fui. And then you did 这个东西你放进去, you press tab to put it in. And you need to update, instead of using 0 and 1, we're going to use I, because I is the variable, the counter variable. Okay? The index. I'll put it in Word so that you can see. Okay? So I'm just going to right here, you can type it. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. This is your I. So the reason why we have I, you can just copy this down here, is we need, at the very beginning, this is going to be the length minus 1, because this is 4 data types. But if we're comparing 2 at a time, it only needs to compare 1, 2, 3 times. So that's going to be minus 1. So that's why here, this is actually going to be 3. But we just type that, okay? And we updated this. I is the first element. At the first, I will be equal to 0. And I plus 1 will be the 旁边 the data. Will be the side data. So if I is pointing to 5, it's going to compare with 3. Cool. Do you have the for loop? So you need to put this right here, and you need to change these guys in here. But it's the same idea. Let me know when you got that typed out. Did it work? Yeah, have a look at the code. The code's there for you to look at, ask questions. Because when 你需要选两个 number, I 是第一个 number, I 加一是第二个 number. Because 这个是那个位置, right? 如果 I 是0, I 加一是一, that means we're going to look at these two datas. And then every time we go through the loop, he's going to find, he's going to shift over. He's going to shift over. And then why do we have the minus 1 at the end here? 为什么是负一? Is because when we do the groups of 2, you're going to be... Okay, did you run the code? Was it successful? Do you get 3516? 有没有? So the algorithm, it moved my data one time, but I need to do again. Right? Because if we look back in our video, remember he keep on sort. We have to put him in another loop to keep on doing the same idea. Okay? Well, that's easy. What you do is make another loop. For n in range, we need to put length of the data, and make a loop in a loop. A loop in a loop, it'll just do the loop multiple times. Okay, and then what you're going to do is select your data and then function 2. So it's going to do the algorithm again. So after we compare, swap, he'll do again and again. And if I run, you see the data right now is small to big. And that's it. This is the code for a bubble sort algorithm. Okay? So you have to be able to make this kind of algorithm. It sorts the data from big to small. Okay? So make the loop a loop in a loop. And I changed it to end just so that it doesn't get confused with the I variable. Okay? So we can call it end, or you can call it whatever you want. Okay? After you have it成功, I want you to take a photo. Okay, I want you to type this code, bubble sort, take a photo, and then you need to, today's homework right here, you're going to throw your code in for question 1, and your schoolwork is to change it to this data. So you can copy, for example, you can copy this data from your homework and throw it into here. There's so many more data, right? And we can see if it'll work here. And you can see it sorted the data so fast. Okay? And then you're going to take a photo and then put it into your homework folder. So that's it about bubble sort. I want you to take a photo, upload to, what is that? 4.5 question 1, and do questions 1 to 3. There's 3 homework questions for you to do. Cool? And that's it.